Arsenal are through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. I also made a video earlier about Aaron Ramsey's contract situation. Today, the fans have their say. Danny Welbeck was on fire last night. He fired his team to a 3-1 victory over Brentford and into the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. He scored twice in the first half at the Emirates, which put the Gunners on course. But it was sealed in stoppage time when Lacazette raced through to fire home as clinical as he's been all season. That's 8 goals and 2 assists in his last 10 games for Lacazette. Man, whoever knew, eh? Whew. Anyway, Brentford could have folded in their second half, but instead they responded brilliantly and they took the fight right to Arsenal. I think we got to give them some props for that. And I speak to my friend Simon Webster about Brentford all the time, and he said they got that in their locker. You know, these guys don't give up. They fight hard. They will come at you. And we know what the championship's like. The championship ain't no easy ride. A lot of managers are finding it very hard to bring their teams back from there. And but today we focus on Aaron Ramsey. I made a video earlier on and gave my thoughts of it, but here we want some fans' feedbacks. Mike Lowry says he's been quite frustrated to watch, and if he's the one remaining factor of this lazy culture under Wenger, then he'll be glad to see him go. You're right, the mindset of him under Wenger and that losing ethos that we had isn't good. It drags down everybody mentally. But so I completely agree with you on that. However, the kilometers show that he was one of the hardest working. But I just don't think that that's translated to this system. So again, you're probably right. The way I see him pressing in Emery's system is very inconsistent, and at times, especially against Everton, he's pointing for that man to go instead of thinking that he should go and close down. And then that was happening a lot in the first half. In the second half, obviously the boss must have had a word with them and they were closing down as a unit. They weren't saying, that's your man, you go and close down. They were taking the onus to do it themselves. So yeah, props to that. Jay Lewis, what's good, Jay? Jay says he really likes Ramsey, but has given up with him now. He can leave, plus everyone knows he can't play with Ozil and Ramsey. In this setup that we've got now, those front four, and I talked about it in my player ratings, and when I did matchday commentary, I said the same thing. I said the front four players, in terms of their job of closing down, isn't happening. It's inconsistent. If 2 go, the other 2 don't. If 3 go, 1 doesn't go. And if 1 goes, 3 doesn't go. It's never really in synergy where all 4 are going and all 4 are pacing back. And that's an issue. And until we get that sorted out, we will not be able to turn over the top teams. We're getting by with the mid-table and the lower teams because of the talent that we've got up front. It only takes Lacazette and Aubameyang a sniff at the ball before it goes. We've seen the quality of their goals since Sanchez came in. Obviously he's gone and he's not scoring anymore, so let's not talk about him. But what we're seeing now is Aubameyang and Lacazette are so clinical. Look where they're placing the balls on most of their goals. Top left, top right, bottom right. They're giving the goalkeeper no chance to make saves. So, it's a different type of thing. But yeah, I completely agree. Kesna, it's nice to see you, bro. Nice to see you're keeping up to date in the forums. And he says, sell him. It's as simple as that. Now, you need to look after the business and also reinvest with what we need. So established wingers can basically round pegs and round holes. They're in the right fit to where they want to be. And also it feels Mkhitaryan falls into this too, as he doesn't defend. Now, we talked about this earlier in the forum. And the thing that I wanted to say with this, Mkhitaryan got dropped to the bench by Mourinho because of what you're saying, because he wasn't committed to defend. The same thing is happening with Arsenal. So since he's been in the Premier League, he's been inconsistent in regards to the system he's playing with, which is that pressing style. But here's a thought. Jurgen Klopp in Dortmund played that style, and he was fantastic at it. So was Kagawa, and a lot of players. So was Aubameyang. A lot of players in that system. But since they've come over into the UK, they've struggled with it. So it's not that whether they can do it. We know they can do it. It's not that. It's whether they want to. And the difference between Mkhitaryan and Dortmund, who was making 40, 50,000 euros a week, and the one that's making 200 grand a week now is completely different. And he's under a 4-year contract. I mean, he's guaranteed this money by hook or by crook. So is it that he's just not fighting enough? That's my opinion. I think he's just not fighting enough. But to say, can he do it or can he not do it? He can do it. He has done it. You're right. We should be swapping everything out and putting round pegs in round holes so everything fits. Totally bang on. Well done, mate. Next is from Nabil. Nabil, how you doing, mate? It's good to see you active on the forum as always. Nabil says, we could have never turned down 50 million for Ramsey. No way. And why is it so hard for Arsenal to sell players, Ramsey, Sanchez and Ozil? I personally think that all three situations were different. Sanchez obviously thought he was going to go City. They looked at his form. His last 6 months at Arsenal, his form was horrible. And he wasn't scoring. He had alienated himself from the locker room, whether it was because he was selfish or he knew he was going and he just didn't work hard enough. The atmosphere with him around the last 6 months wasn't good. And we waited, and it still turned out well for us, but he was not committed at all. Ozil was always committed to Arsenal because of how Wenger brought him into the club. Wenger's the one that showed him the love and respect and worth. And to Ozil, that means a lot. To other players, it doesn't. His first passion was to always stay at Arsenal, and that's what he did. The Ramsey situation is completely different. I believe that what was agreed with Dick Law and Arsene Wenger has completely changed under Huss Fahmy and the new head bods at the club and Unai Emery. And I believe that whatever he was promised, he's not being offered. And in fact, it's the latest news is now that Arsenal has actually pulled the offer off the table. That's what has stopped the contract talks, not him saying, I can't be bothered anymore. We're going to see the club sell him. It's probably a thing where we're going to see the club sell. So, Chia, nice one, Chia, mate. And Chia, check him out for Arsenal tickets on Facebook. He runs that joint, and it's a nice place to get tickets if you want to get to the games. He says, Arsenal are ridiculous. We don't have the money to spend in the transfer window. And you think we would make sure that we don't lose a player. But no, we still fail to negotiate contracts properly. Yes, you're right. But remember, bro, that's all been addressed at the front office level. So Huss Fahmy from Team Sky is the person that Gazidis has put in charge for player contracts. And the first thing he did when he came in was made sure that Ozil got his contract. And he made sure Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan got 200 grand a week. Now, I'm not disputing whatever offer he's given Aaron Ramsey, whether it's lucrative or not. You've got to say in the mix of things, it was because he has offered lucrative contracts. He's the only person that's offered lucrative contracts because the guys before him didn't. So I wouldn't blame it on our negotiations team. I wouldn't do that. I would say that Ramsey has been turned. He's seen what's happened when guys have gone to other clubs. They are much more wealthier, and at most times they win things. And I just think that Ramsey, that's what he wants. A lot of these guys have turned up in teams, and the team's got the system and everything's working, and they're just a part of the cog. They're not the cog. It's like the Sanchez issue as well. I know United are not really doing that well, but they expected him to come in and score 25, 30 goals, which is what he's doing for Arsenal. Like that's what Robin Van Persie did, and they won the league. Sanchez was broken before he went to Old Trafford. He gives the ball away too many times. So, you got a dud bomb. Deal with it. Great. We don't want him back. I think the contract situations now are better. And it's a shame that we're still seeing the old regime's habits fizzle out like this. But I'm sure we won't see this in the club moving on. I'm sure everybody knows what's ahead. We spent just under 80 million in the last transfer window, and we spent it wisely. So I'm sure that things will work its way out in the future. I wouldn't worry about that. Next we have Kirk Daniel. Kirk says, always said that we should have got rid of him in the summer and bring in someone who wants to be at the club. That is difficult because that's when the contract negotiations changed from, Huss Fahmy and Dick Law. And it's difficult to know what situation Aaron was in. But if you're right in terms of Huss Fahmy came in and said, that's what we're offering you, do you want it or not? They must have given him some time to think about it. If they were more aggressive, then they would have said, actually, this guy doesn't want to stay. Let's let him go. But the reason why they didn't is because he was voted player of the season. Why would you get rid of the club's best player? Morgan Carl Davis says, stick him in the reserves till Jan and then boom, sell him. Totally agree, my friend. Totally agree. I don't see any reason why you have to put him in the starting 11 now. He hasn't done anything since he's been in there. He hasn't scored. He hasn't been creative. He hasn't worked hard enough. And I haven't seen him do anything that Smith Rowe or Guendouzi can't do. And Welbeck is outplaying him at the moment. He's done as a holding midfielder. You ain't going to see that again. They're playing him as a number 10 because there's the competition at holding midfielder is so great right now. I wouldn't even think about putting Aaron Ramsey in there. So from that perspective, it's finished. And Mkhitaryan can do what he's doing. Welbeck can do what he's doing. Yeah. Bertram Spence has said his only position is as a number 10, which is right. It's totally correct. And this is the best position for Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Iwobi as well, and Aubameyang. He mentions Aubameyang. Now the team is currently unbalanced when he plays, and he doesn't think that the new regime rates him as many Arsenal fans or the old regime does. It's a poor way of conducting business for a team which lacks significant transfer resources. 100% agreed on that, mate. Mark Clark says, Saliras, and don't play him now. Love this. Don't play him now. Find the long-term replacement immediately. I totally agree. Totally agree. Tarkan, how you doing, Tarkan? Hope the baby must be getting big now. Wow. Tarkan says, sell him in January, get some cash and reinvest. And that sounds like the consensus. That's the consensus, really, that we're going with for the fan feedback at the moment. Randall says, we got Utes coming true. And the man says Utes as well, He said, we got Utes coming true. And Ramsey wants to go abroad. No point in keeping a player who doesn't want to stay. I like the look of that Ute, Smith Rowe, and a man Guendouzi. Proper things there, my brother. Proper things there. And this is a nice one. This is from David. This is Vincey's brother. David, who's a Liverpool fan, says, all successful teams require players who are taking ownership of the dream of the club and the community they represent. This was one of Liverpool's challenges with Steven Gerrard. Players looked to him to deliver instead of them stepping up and delivering with him. It takes a special type of player to be successful in a team, and the question is, will Aaron Ramsey go on to be a part of a successful team? And if so, why couldn't he do that at Arsenal? Or will he show Arsenal why the contracts has failed? Apart from Henry, that they have ever spoken to anybody about why they left and what they could have done. It's like when you work in a job and you say, I'm leaving, I'm going to this company. Why did you want to leave? Could we have done anything more to convince you to stay? And that's where you say, yeah, you should have done this, you should have done that, should have paid better, should have looked after your staff better, made it more lucrative, made the medical or the pension or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, you're being open about yourself as a company and how you can improve. And what David is saying is completely and utterly true. It's bang on. Well done. Good input, brother. Now, thanks for all the fan feedbacks, guys. That's some real interesting and quite funny as well. And just keep them coming. Also in the comment section below. If you have anything to add to it, I'll also put that in on a later date, because I'm sure this Ramsey thing is just going to go on and on and on and on and on. But I'd like to close out by saying, well done to Tom. Tom Aston's one of our faithful at 101. and he spent the night watching Brentford yesterday with all the guys at Arsenal Fan TV, as he was representing. He was representing 101 hard last night. And he had a fantastic time. So big props to Tom there. And, you know, Tom has always said Socrates and Torreira are battlers, and it's something that we dearly missed over the last few years. And really, he's right. And that's what will continue happening to the team as we evolve forward. We will continue to get those type of guys, those battle-hardened guys who work within a system, are disciplined, and they're accountable for their actions on the field. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me for this Have Your Say fan session. And we've got Watford on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us for this session. Like and subscribe. And that's 6 wins in a row, baby. 6 in a row. See you guys later. Peace.